The years at the spring, and the days at the morn, mornings at 7, the hillsides do pearl. The lark's on the wing, and the snail's on the thorn. God's in his heaven, all's right with the world. Time changes people's opinions on things, doesn't it? Many things that are loved and treasured today did not share the same love when they first came out. Buster Keaton's The General was panned by critics, and it was a huge flop at the box office, but now it is regarded as Keaton's best work and one of the best silent films of all time. The Shawshank Redemption was not a huge success when it first came out, and now it's regarded as one of the greatest films of all time. And The Phantom Menace was universally loved by critics and audiences when it first came out. And today, well, let's just say you should stay off of Twitter. But I digress. I'm not here to talk about films. I'm here to talk about poetry. Specifically, one poet who fell victim to this. His name was Robert Browning. Robert Browning was born on May 7th, 1812, in Camberwell, England. His mother was an accomplished pianist, and his father was an artist, scholar, antiquarian, and book collector with over 6,000 books in his rare collection. Growing up with such parents allowed for Browning to have an excellent education, being proficient at reading and writing by age 5 and fluent in Latin, Greek, and French by age 14. Browning published his first poem, Pauline, in 1833. He subsequently began publishing more poems and even tried his hand at drama, writing plays like Stafford and the Bells of Pomegranate series. While none of these pieces of literature were a success, they did help establish Browning's style of using long, dramatic monologues in his writing. They also established Browning's love for dark humor and sarcasm. Unfortunately, Browning would continue to be overshadowed by the critics of the Victorian era, not so much because they thought his work was bad, but because he was living in the shadow of his spouse. Browning was heavily inspired by the poems of Elizabeth Barrett and corresponded with her for a few months before they first met in 1845. It was love at first sight. The couple married in 1846 against the wishes of Barrett's father and moved to Florence, Italy. It was here that Robert Browning wrote what is arguably his most famous work, Men and Women. Unfortunately, like most of his work at the time, the book was overlooked as not many people were interested in the work of Elizabeth Barrett's husband. Nevertheless, Browning didn't mind being in his wife's shadow, and the couple remained together in Italy until Barrett's death in 1861. Following his wife's death, Browning moved back to London, where he continued to write, finally winning the attention he long deserved with The Ring and the Book. Browning lived long enough to see the Browning Society founded and to be awarded honorary degrees at Oxford University and the University of Edinburgh. Browning died in 1889, on the same day his final volume, Asolando, Fancies and Facts, was published. There's no doubt in my mind that Browning's work was highly overlooked during the time it was released. However, unlike some geniuses who went through a similar problem, at least Browning lived to see his work get the attention it deserved.